Hello everyone. In this lesson we will learn about NPM. NPM stands for Node Package Manager, and in this lesson we will cover three main things. Number one, we will answer the question of not only what is Node Package Manager, but what is package management in general and why would we use it. Number two, we will review what types of files and packages we hope to find on NPM. And finally, number three, we will have a hands-on demo. We will see NPM in action. You will follow along step by step on your computer. Should be a lot of fun. But let's start up at the top. Number one, what is package management? To begin, I want you to think of NPM as a grocery store that contains code instead of food. I guess that would make it a code store, not a grocery store, but stick with me on this analogy. So, for example, if we were going to bake a cake, we would need flour, sugar, vanilla extract, maybe baking powder. Now, how are we going to get all of those ingredients? For example, with flour, are we going to start with wheat and turn it into flour ourselves? Maybe some of us will do that, but instead I think the vast majority of us will go to the grocery store and pick up some flour. We probably aren't going to grow our own sugar cane and turn it into sugar. We will go to the grocery store and pick up some sugar. You get the idea. Now, the same thing is true in development with code. So for example, if there are a few tasks that we want to automate with Node, we don't need to write a bunch of code. Instead, we can just go to the grocery store, NPM, and pick up a package that helps with automation, a package that already has all of the code we will need. So NPM is a centralized place where developers share their code with the world. And everything in this centralized store is completely free. The idea is that if we come together and share our code with each other, we can all create better work and we can all avoid constantly reinventing the wheel. Okay, so NPM is a place where a bunch of code lives, but what is package management? Let's go back to our cake baking analogy. So without package management, you might need to go to one store for flour and vanilla extract, and then go all the way across town to another store for sugar, and maybe even a third store on the other side of town for a special type of baking powder that you like. This is the equivalent of Googling for Bootstrap and going to their website to download it, and then Googling for Lodash and going to their website to download it. It's not the most efficient way of doing things. Or, with package management, you can just sit at home and create a grocery list, and then give that list to your personal robot assistant, and it will go fetch all of the ingredients for you. Also, food ingredients can expire and go bad. Just like code packages can become outdated, or sometimes they might have a mistake or a bug in them. And maybe the author of a script we are using fixes a bug after we have already saved the package to our computer. With package management, we can just run a single command and our robot assistant will automatically check every single item on our recipe ingredient list to see if it has expired and if it can go grab a newer, fresher copy for us. So hopefully that convinces you that there are great benefits to using package management. For now, let's move on to the second part of the lesson, where we talk about what types of files and code packages we hope to find on NPM. I would say that most packages on NPM fall into one of two categories. The first category might be a bit obvious considering what the letters NPM stand for, but the first category is simply Node packages. Packages of code that help us do things in Node. So we know that Node can be used for a lot of things. We can use it to automate tasks. We can use it to make our life as a developer easier. We can do things on the server level with Node. We can do just about anything with Node, and there is a package for just about anything on NPM. The second category of packages that we can find on NPM may be a bit less obvious. In this category, we can find packages that have nothing to do with Node. Packages like Lodash, Bootstrap, Normalize.css. You get the idea. So these are packages of JavaScript and CSS that we need for our website to actually run in a web browser. The point that I'm trying to drive home here is that NPM is a lot bigger than just Node, and we can use NPM as our one-stop shop for any code we need. Now, having said that, I think it's time to move on to the fun part of the lesson, the part where we get our hands dirty and actually begin to use NPM. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing I want you to do is to open your command line. Next, I want you to navigate in the command line to the folder for the fictional travel agency website that we created a few lessons ago. So within your generic sites or projects folder, you will remember that we created a travel site folder. This contains the starter files for the project that we will be building together in the course. We even configured this to push to your own personal GitHub account. So in my case, I'm just going to type cd and then drag that travel site directory onto my command line. Alright, now I know that once we begin building the website, we are going to use Lodash. So right now, let's go ahead and use NPM to download Lodash into our travel site folder. To do that, in the command line, just type npm install Lodash. Hit enter. In our previous lesson, when we installed Node.js on our computer, that also gave us access to these npm commands. And now, if we check the travel site folder, we will see a new folder named Node Modules, and within that, there are the Lodash files. NPM went onto the internet and downloaded this for us. It's that simple to use NPM to download a package. However, there is one extra step we should perform to stay organized. So let's go back and let's undo what we just did and delete this Node Modules folder. And let's try a more organized way of downloading packages. Let's begin a grocery list or a recipe ingredients list of all the packages we will need for our project. To do that, let's go back to the command line and let's say npm init, and then one more space, and then -y. Go ahead and press enter. And once that's done, if we go to the travel site folder, we will see this new file named package.json. This file is our project's grocery list or recipe. This file keeps track of all of the packages that our project uses. You will want to create one of these package.json files for each one of your projects or for each one of your Git repos. Go ahead and open it in your favorite text editor. Currently, it only contains the info on our project that the computer generated automatically. Now, the reason this file is so great is because we can use it to keep track of which packages we are using. So check this out. Back in the command line, let's download Lodash again. So npm install Lodash. Press enter. Just like before, that will create a Node Modules folder. And there's Lodash. But more importantly, back in our text editor, we see that this new dependencies area was created automatically with Lodash listed. Let's try to install and save another package. So in the command line, let's try npm install normalize.css. This is a package that I know we will use in the course. Go ahead and press enter. If we check our folder, within the Node Modules folder, there is normalize, and it is automatically added to our grocery list or to our recipe. Let me show you why this is such a cool feature. So in our folder, let's go ahead and delete the Node Modules folder. So this will delete both the Lodash and normalize packages. Now, because we have this recipe file that lists the packages we want, all we need to do to get both of them back is in the command line, just type npm install. That's it. Hit enter. And if we go to our folder and drill down into Node Modules, there they both are. When we run npm install, Node looks in the directory that our command line is currently pointed at, and it looks for a file named package.json. And whether we have 2 or 200 packages listed here, NPM will go and automatically download all of them for us in one file swoop. And that actually will bring this hands-on demo of getting started with NPM to a close. Now, let's cover a few common questions that you might have at this point. Question number 1, how am I supposed to know the exact name of packages that I should type into the command line? That's a fair question. So in this course, I will let you know which packages we need, but out in the wild, there won't be someone whispering in your ear the name of packages. So what you can do is you can go to the NPM website, npmjs.com, and you can search and browse for packages, or you can even just Google for what you're hoping to achieve with a package, and then include NPM at the end of your search string. That will usually take you to a popular package on the NPM website, and from there you can find out the name of the package. Question number 2. Okay, so we have all of these package files in the Node modules folder, but how do we actually use these files? Should we manually move the files out of the Node modules folder and into a folder that's easier to access from our HTML pages? The answer is no, don't do that. Leave the package files exactly where they are in the Node modules folder. In future lessons, we will learn about elegant ways of importing the package code into our own code. Question number 3. Why is it that if I run git status in my command line right now, do none of these new package files in the Node modules folder show up? That's a good question. So let me run a git status with you right now. So in my command line, git status, let's see what has changed recently. We see that the only file that git says has changed is the package.json file. But we know that we added all kinds of new files in this Node modules folder. Why is Git not tracking those files? We can find the answer to this question by simply opening up our travel site folder itself in our favorite text editor. You can try to drag the travel site folder on top of your text editor icon, or within your text editor, you can go to File, Open, and there should be some sort of open directory or open folder feature instead of just opening a file. So once we've used the text editor to open the entire project folder, we will see a hidden file named gitignore. Within this file, we can tell our Git repo to ignore certain kinds of files that are not important. So for example, on line 17, we see thumbs.db. This is a file that the Windows operating system will create in any folder that has images. So that's a random operating system feature that has nothing to do with our code and the website that we are building. dsstore is a system file that Mac creates. So again, we don't need that in our repo. It has nothing to do with our project's code. And lo and behold, on line 12, we see Node modules. So this means we have configured our Git repo to completely ignore the Node modules folder. Why would we do that? Well, we do it because it's a best practice. And it's a best practice because as long as we have the package.json file that lists which packages we need, there's no sense in bloating the Git repo with all of those actual package files. Because even if our computer blew up and we lost all of our files, all we would need to do is get a new computer, clone down our repo from GitHub, and as long as we have this package.json file, we just run an npm install and we are back in business. So that illustrates just how important the package.json file is. It's the recipe to our project. Now, because this file is so important, before we close out this lesson, I want you to take care of your business in Git. I want you to add our package.json file to your repo. So I want you to add it to your staging area. Then I want you to create a commit. And then I want you to push your repo up to your GitHub account. If you need to rewatch the last lesson from the Git section to do all of that, that's a-okay. But make sure you do that before moving on to the next lesson. And in our next lesson, we will learn about a super important package named Webpack. Webpack is at the heart of all automation that we will be setting up in this course. It is going to save us a lot of time, and I will see you in the next lesson.